What's up, guys? I'm back on my little gear wall here to talk about slings once again. Everyone that has watched my videos for a while knows that this was my default anchor for maybe the past 3 years now or so. This is a quad link sling, also known as a 96 incher or 240 centimeter sling. And I've organized it into a quad anchor for bolted stuff by tying a BHK right here. I thread the sling through these parts so they don't go slipping back through, and then just a standard overhand here. And so this is how I usually travel with them. I clip a quick draw here, and I clip a carabiner here, and I clip them together, and it travels on my harness just like that. One thing you can do is if you had a slightly smaller sling, you wouldn't have to tie the big BHK. That's the point of this video right now, is I'm going to talk about the triple link sling. And so these are not that common, which is why I've been using quad slings all this time. But a few companies make them. Petzl for one. This one in particular is made by Mammut. And I just happened to see these the other day and I picked up a couple. And what a triple link sling is, if you haven't guessed, is a double link sling with a single link sling added together. You may also see this as a 180 centimeter sling, or whatever that is in inches, I'm not sure. The cool part about this one is you double it up. There we go, and I isolate the bone over there, and then I'm going to tie an overhand knot on one side, grab the other side, and an overhand knot. Look at how easy that is. It is a bit longer than the quad, even when it's tied using as little material as possible. So if you've been using the quad this whole time, that gets a little bit of getting used to, but it's still a triple link sling and it's a lot easier to tie. Still has all the same qualities. You clip it to one bolt, clip it to your next bolt. When you get to the top of the pitch, clip yourself into a clove on this shelf, and then use the other shelf to belay up your friend. Works the exact same as a usual quad, only it's a lot easier to deal with. So there you have it, the quad anchor with a triple link sling. Again, these things are a little bit hard to come by, which is why I've kind of been avoiding using them for so long. But now I have two. For, you know, the anchor above, the anchor below, and I'm going to keep playing around with them. I've already used these a couple days for guiding and for recreational climbing, and yeah, they work great, just as well as a quad sling. The only thing is, if you are going to use these for trad anchors, which I will bring my quads up and use them for trad anchors, sometimes the pieces may be spread out a little bit of a ways, but that's kind of not as much of an issue, because a lot of times I find myself doing some tricks to shorten up the sling of the quad anchor to make my full anchor, the master point, a little bit higher, so I have a bit more working room, whereas a triple link sling, it would make it a whole lot simpler. So here's what I'm talking about. I have my quad sling. Here's my first piece up out of the camera shot, second piece right here, and then my third piece down here. So what I would normally do here is I have the bone. I'm going to slide that up to my top piece. Drag the other two ends down into my master point. And tie my point there. So this is where the quad sling in a trad sense works wonders. And it's really great, kind of the perfect length. Here we go, new scenario. So now my three pieces are pretty close together. And so I have a lot of material here. One trick that I can do is I'm going to take the one end of the strand and I'm going to pass that through the carabiner. Instead of clipping it, I'm going to pass it through. Bring that loop down, then equalize everything together. Tie that into my overhand or figure eight. So you can see how that extra wraparound loop really takes a lot of the material out. One thing to keep in mind is you want to sort of make that loop on one of your more bomber pieces. So if you have like a 0.3, 0.5, and a number 2, the number 2 is kind of the good thing to get that wrap, because it is sort of dividing the force. Instead of equal thirds, you're getting more of a 50% on this, roughly 50% on this piece, and then 25 on these other pieces. So you want to have the more bomber one with the looped around sling. But you can see how that uses up a lot of material. So that's generally what I do when I'm using a quad anchor for a 3-piece trad setup and I want to use up some more material. But with the triple length sling, because it's a smaller sling, you know, if I clip those 3 pieces together, drag all that material down, tie it in, let's maybe tie it in a figure 8 in this case. Now I have roughly the same height of my master point, same 3 pieces in the same exact spot, I only have one leg or one strand going through all 3 legs. And that's just because it's a smaller anchor. So if you're going on climbs where you know all the anchors are in line and pretty close to each other, maybe generally they're in a series of like a 0.5, 7, 1, or you know it's going up in that order, then these aren't bad to have for your trad climbing as well. That same quad trick where you bend everything over, that also works with cord, as well as there's a way to use your cord so that way you can tie it in any length. But it's just another kind of useful thing about the triple length sling. I find myself doing that double over trick a lot while I'm building anchors trad climbing with my quad sling. So just another little tip to help you out. Free tip included in the video. Alright guys, thanks for watching. If you like what I do here, then please consider supporting me on Patreon. Feel free to subscribe and like, and if you have any requests for a specific video, I'd be happy to make that for you. And I'll see you guys in the next video.